Welcome to Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. I'm happy to have you guys here again with us. It's always a pleasure. This episode is brought to you by Cactus Taverna. Check out Cactus Taverna up north. Ask for my boy Abe and ask for the wine pouch. The wine pouch is pretty cool, obviously, if you're of age. But no, Cactus Taverna has been a great Mediterranean cuisine, great restaurant, been around forever. It's a relic here in Salisbury. They've always been good to me, been a sponsor of our gym and obviously this podcast. So make sure you hit them up. They're on North Side, North 13. Actually, you know what? They're right next to Starbucks. So all you Starbucks whores can go right up there and get you a little bit of Cactus Taverna. Also, obviously, I ask you this all the time. Everybody asks you this, but please, it really, really makes a big difference. If you get value from this episode, please like, subscribe. A review is really, really even more critical than anything else. A testimony, just telling us what you thought of Champ Talk, telling us how you feel. You know, if we changed your life. We do all this for free. We try to give out as much value to the people that we care about and love. And we just want to continue to give good vibes to everybody. So again, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on all of it. If you get value from this, please like, subscribe, and give us the content. And today I am blessed with having a really good friend of mine on the episode today. He's been a supporter, a rider, you know, a friend, a confidant. He's been a little bit of everything. And he's been here with us at SBY for pushing about 5 years now. Mm-hmm. He's seen a lot of changes. He's changing himself, but I have Sir William Singleton back on the show. How you doing today, brother?
Blessed to be here, man.
Good. Blessed to have you.
Yeah.
You know, for those who don't know, you know, William, he's got a lot of things going on. The last time we had him on our episode, we had him talking about you know, his company and kind of mindset and stuff like that. You know, the owner and founder of Core Counseling Strategies. Tell us a little bit about that.
Man, it was the kind of the brainchild of something I've been thinking about for a while, in just working with people's core issues, not just the surface issues of addictions or anger issues, but you know what's really underneath all that. And I mean, and I look at myself, because when I look at, you know, everything I've gone through and all the addictions I've had, from, well, sex, food, drugs, alcohol, I think I've had them all. Underneath all that was some core stuff that I had to work on to really get to the next level.
Yeah, isn't it that really basically the obvious but hidden problem in itself is, you know, it comes down to really, you know, what you've experienced, what you did or didn't get when you were a child or adolescent, you know, what grown and manifested from that, you know, I know that they say like everything from a child from, you know, birth to 7, 8 years old is what really sets who they are as far as that they learn. And then when they get that because they're nothing but a sponge, then now they start growing into the defense and protected type of child who, you know, builds up, you know, skills, I guess you could even say skills and protective barriers to keep them safe, you know, whether it's a good home or a bad home or good strategy. And then once they hit those adolescent teen years, now they're really starting to conform into, you know, their own mindset. And then it just kind of grows from there.
Well, we all get like basic building blocks growing up, but not all those blocks are functional. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what gives us flavor. Yeah. You know, as we grow up, we learn how to function through our dysfunction to take it to the next level, because I think it's our struggle that makes us supernatural, to be truthful. I mean, you know, it's what separates the warriors from the whiners, you know, on whether everybody's got issues, but not everybody's working on their issues. And I think that's what really makes us great and phenomenal for those of us who don't just settle for less, and we keep striving to be more because we're built to be more.
So unpack that a little bit in relation to, you know, not just what you just said there, you know, as far as like that inner strength, that superpower, so to speak, that we have. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when it comes to you, you said you better with addiction. You know, what one would ask, you know, what makes you qualified to be able to be my counselor if you're an addict yourself, you know, for people that are listening?
I don't think it's the history that makes us qualified.
You do or don't?
I don't think it's the history that makes us qualified. I think it's the ability to learn from our history. When I used to train other counselors at thresholds, I would sometimes tell them, I said, don't share your story so soon, because our job is to listen. I'm not trying to compete with you on the chaos. I want to show you the way out of the chaos. So I will spend more time listening because everybody's issue is unique to their situation.
Yeah.
I don't have the same triggers as you. I might have used the same thing as you, but I don't have the same triggers. And I also don't have the same motivations. So it's really key that if I want to mentor someone, that I have the ability to actively listen.
And, I got a friend, he's an addict. I send him to you, right? And actually, that's actually really happened. But hypothetically speaking, right? I got a friend, he's an addict. I send him to you. He hears that. He sees that. What do you think it is that really sets you apart? Not saying that you're better or worse, but sets you apart from like maybe a rehab treatment center that's paid for by the state where, good, bad, or indifferent. This is not better or worse than them, but good, bad, or indifferent. You see a lot of numbers games played in these high volume treatment facilities only because obviously we're going through an epidemic.
Right.
Obviously we're going through highest numbers of addiction we've ever had.
Absolutely.
Highest number of mental health issues we've ever had. Highest number of deaths we've ever had related to addiction.
Anxiety, depression, and all that is off the chain.
Correct. So when you're talking about going to a treatment facility that, is like your one that you hear about all the time, downtown, wherever, right? And I'm not pointing any out. Versus you, what do you think with what you just said about listening and down in those attributes that you have, what do you think separates core strategies and Sir William Singleton from
Well,
other places?
it's funny because I had a doctor ask me this when I was working subcontracting with his facility, and I said the difference between me and a big treatment center is that one, I'm private, and so because of that, I have more time to really customize and get personal with my clients' needs.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to throw shade on any facility, but 90% of them are overwhelmed and overworked.
100%.
Yeah. And so they don't have the time to reach out and say, hey man, I know it's your birthday. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Hey, how did you do on the job interview? I still get calls today where they're surprised that I called them back because the waiting list is that ridiculous that they can't even get a call back, or a text, or I just give them information on where they can go, So I have the time because this is my business. This is what I do.
How long have you been doing this?
Almost 20 years.
20 years. You've been doing in this practice or own this business?
Yeah, in the practice, almost 20 years.
How long have you owned, and started core strategies? Core counseling strategies, excuse me.
Core counseling strategies.
20 years.
Almost 20 years. I've been doing counseling and social work, since I was 21.
Wow.
Wow.
That's super impressive, man. On a lot of fronts, you know what I mean? First of all, obviously your sobriety is important.
Absolutely.
And if you're like me, I can almost, bet the paycheck I don't get that you probably being in this position has held you more accountable than anything else because you're learning every day. I'm assuming you're learning twice, they're learning once.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So,
and I learn from my people too.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean, really all our shit's the same. Everybody acts like our shit's different, but it's all the same. Like, things were really hard. You got through them. Here you are. Right. But at the same time, it is unique. What you said, like, I remember, I had gotten arrested when I was 18 years old, and this is when they demonized marijuana so heavily. And I got caught with like a eighth or a quarter bag of marijuana. Right. And they gave you it was called the due time program. And what they did is instead of trying you, right, you agree to do this program, you just go to rehab and you go for 12 weeks, right? One day a week, outpatient. And then after that, it goes on stat docket. After a year, it's off your record. No harm, no foul. Right. So they were really starting to turn,
like a first offenders program.
Correct. They were really starting to turn the corner on how they viewed marijuana back then and things like that. And of course, I was smarter than them. You know what I mean?
Of
So I
course.
was like, yeah, I don't got to stop smoking. So I didn't stop smoking. And what ended up happening was I pissed dirty. And then look, check this out. You'll love this. I thought I was so smart. As fun fact, right? Reed Sterrett was the prosecutor, the state's attorney. And Reed Sterrett Jr. works with me over at the Maryland and Delaware group of EXP. He runs Expert Home Buyer.
Okay.
And so anyway, I called Reed and I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to need to switch facilities, man. This is after I took the piss test, right? And so I tried to catch it before I was like, I think I'm going to need to switch facilities, man. He's like, oh yeah, why is that? I was like, I'm just not really feeling this. It's not working for me. He's like, is that because you pissed dirty today? He said, I suggest you get your ass back in there before we have to go ahead and prosecute. I was like, oh, yes, sir. No problem. So anyway, because I pissed dirty, they put me in, this was one time a week, 1 hour. They put me in IOP. And it was 3 days a week for 2 hours. And look, at 18 years old, I got a lot of stuff to do, right? I'm busy.
You're busy.
I'm busy at 18 years old. So, but the greatest thing ever is I got a PhD in addiction. And I got, because I'm one of those people, if I'm there, I'm not gonna bullshit around, right?
Right.
And of course, I ain't one of y'all. You know what I mean? But obviously, I had addict behaviors,
Right.
Even though it was weed. But I really got a PhD in understanding, addiction and psychology and things like that. And this was almost 25 years ago that this had happened. And but where I was going with that is I had a way better appreciation and understanding for how people addicted to something, the chemical dependency side of it and the mental side of it, where you have such a judgmental side on it when you don't have anybody that experienced that. Nowadays, everybody's got somebody in their family. Everybody's got, but then it wasn't as prevalent, and it wasn't, at least you thought it wasn't. But it's interesting to say that to be able to run a business for 20 years, on top of your keeping up with your sobriety, on top of being, growing and sustaining, that's a remarkable feat in itself, because it's not easy running a business.
No.
I'm sure the regulations and the laws have changed a lot since you started in Midway and things like that, and probably gotten even crazier the last 5, maybe 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tight.
But you've experienced a tremendous amount of growth with your business. What do you think? Obviously, doing God's work. Obviously, being a person that's going to show up to work and do the best again. But what do you think's been? I mean, because you've really taken off the past few years in a lot of other ways that I want to get into. But what do you think it's been that's really made the difference?
Really, truthfully, I think it's the people God put in my life. I would probably be in the same places, not worse, if not for the people that have come by to mentor me, to help me, to hug me, to help me. And that's really what makes me great today, is the people around me. Like I in my speeches, I say, I come as one, but I represent 1,000, because literally 1,000 people have poured into me.
Yeah, I'm going to steal something from, I listen to a lot of Ed Milet's podcast. I listen to it every day. And his dad was an alcoholic, and, he's got a great story. And I'm going to steal something from him, because one of the things that is remarkable about your story, and many, many stories like yours, is, you're somebody's saving grace. You are the person. Now think about this. Now think about this, right? And I'm going to go even deeper. You are the person that took someone in a very, very dark, hopeless place, and affected them in a way, however you did it, whatever strategies put in play, affected them in a way that now they're very successful, define it as you will, in their life. You were that person, that one sounding board, that one mentor, that one accountability partner, that one person that said, this is it. You were that person that not only saved their lives, but their daddy's life or their mommy's life, right? Or, you saved, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because it's going to take you, I'm going to take you even one step further. You were that one person, regardless if it was God's work, obviously it was God, regardless of whatever you want to say, but you had an effect where that family was saved. That person's mother didn't have to bury their child. That person's wife or husband didn't have to go through years of fucking up and torment. you know, the child gets to say, my daddy is saved because of you. And I'm going to take it even one step further, brother. It's getting me emotional. I don't know why.
Yeah, you're working me, man.
There's one person did that for you.
Oh, I know. There's more than one person
But
did
there's
it for
that
me.
one.
Mm-hmm.
There's that first one. There's the one that finally got your fucking attention.
Mm-hmm.
That finally said, hey, William. They might even said Billy.
I don't think so.
Billy. I got to do something. I'm about to fucking cry over here. But they said, hey, William, you know, when is enough going to be enough? And that sparked that attention. And I think it's incredible the work you do, because you probably take for granted some days, because it's our work. It's what we do all the time. And, you know, sometimes we forget, but you're that guy.
You know, I'm trying to be cool here, man. But
Brother, this is hold on, not to cut. This is champ talk.
Okay.
We only bring on champions.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So you be what you want to be. You're a champion today, brother.
So I just try to keep it one step at a time and try to look at the small steps I need to work with people, because if I look at the big picture, like what you're saying, and I'm not denying that,
yeah,
it'll get overwhelming for me.
Sure.
But I had gone to an event, I think it was last year, for a charity event for one of my clients' friends for their son. And I got there, and he, you know, and I keep everything confidential, you know, but he had introduced everybody to who I was.
Sure.
And they all came and thanked me for saving his life. And they said, your money's no good here. I mean, it was surreal for me, because I don't ever think of it that big.
Yeah.
And you know, it was really hit me in my heart.
Oh, I imagine. I mean, dude, that's the expression we say and we take lightly, is, you know, one life saved, you know what I mean, makes it all worth it. And you hear that all the time. But then when you really dissect it and you really look at it, that, hold up, I'm not just saving that person's life. You know what I mean?
Same with the generation.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what you said about the details, because the devil is in the details, but also,
so it's the deliverance.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And the details are what matters.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing, you know, in a ways where it's like, I can teach you these moves, or I could teach you these strategies, and I could teach you all these things. Mm-hmm. But overall, it's the every single day practices and rituals that you develop and you build that really take you into a place of success, take you in a place of growth, and you're never going to feel it. Mm-hmm. You're never going to feel it until one day you wake up and you're like, like I do it today. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Or that day you went with their family. Mm-hmm. What have I become? What have I done? You know, I think it's very remarkable, the work you do, and I think it's incredible. And you're one of my favorite people, and I had to have you back on here because of that factor, because, you know, not just giving you your flowers, but anyone out here listening that is struggling with somebody in addiction, mentoring somebody in addiction, struggling themselves or whatever, like, that is how deep it goes with that one person. And if you can figure out a way to bridge those gaps on trying to get that person connected, or get that person believing in themselves, or just seeing that person and you know, and getting over the judgment and over the things. Now, I'm very hard on addicts. I'm very hard on them. Like, I don't fuck with them. Like, you know what I mean? It ain't no disease, but I learned, and here's where I was humbled. I used to get mad with that. It ain't no disease. It ain't no disease. And I didn't understand that it's an expression. The disease is not what you think of as far as, you know, developing cancer. The disease is, once you're there, it is the cancer, and it eats away everything living.
Oh, it does. It does.
And everything.
There are a lot of similarities to that.
100%.
And it's a disease theory. It's not necessarily a fact. But when I would have conversations about this, they would say, well, there's a choice in it. And I said, well, there is a choice, but it's not an informed choice, you know. And I compare it to back in the day where there was an epidemic of teen pregnancies, and then they brought in the robotic babies, and we did classes on safe sex and everything else to inform the youth on how people get pregnant. And then the numbers went down. You know, there's not really a whole lot of education on addictions, which is why I'm in the high schools now, trying to get that informed choice to them so they can make a better choice, because a lot of them don't know. And the dealers are bringing it to them like Scooby snacks and candy and cotton candy. They're not telling them this is going to ruin the rest of your life.
No.
They're not saying that. It's going to make you feel good right now, bro. Yeah. That's all they're saying.
Yep. I know. It's And then, we can go down that rabbit hole and talk about that as much as we can too, because there's an element of that too where, good, bad, or indifferent, I think it's being handled improperly and it could do a better job, especially being on the other side of that world. In the schools, you're doing more things than just in the schools. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot of things. If anybody follows your content, you're very consistent. You're steady out here, delivering value, delivering great messages, and brother, you're fearless about it. You know what I mean? You're fearless about it. And I think that's very important to know because, I know how self-conscious you are, and you have been in the past, right?
You do know.
I do know. And so for you to sit there and get in front of the world and, speak in stages and deliver content that, millions of people could see, speaks volumes of, your mission. And out here, what do you got cooking right now? Tell us about some of the things in relation to that core counseling strategies has, brought to these next doors and next phases of your business and your journey.
Well, I've got three things cooking right now. I've got a podcast inspired by you, actually, to start doing, which is going to be called Balance and Breakthroughs with Will. Then I've got a school program, which I actually brought the books and materials with me today, on stress and self-harming behaviors, where I actually wrote a short story, which is a series for students to look into about two youth who discovered that their best friend died from an overdose, who was all-star. And so I'm breaking
Who was what?
all-star.
I got you.
So because there's a lot of stereotypes of how kids get involved in drugs, and they're the burnout, they're the gang banger, whatever, but that's not what's happening. They're taking the tennis kid. They're taking the kid that plays water polo. They're taking the kid that are in the Boy Scouts, and we need to address that.
Yes, sir.
And what's going on. And so I developed a program with a curriculum for the schools, which I'm actually going around to different schools to do my public motivational speaking and to present the curriculum for them to start using to save lives at the beginning. So I don't have to deal with knuckleheads when they're older like me, And then the last thing, I said the podcast. Oh, I'm doing some live shows, live streams on relationships.
Nice.
So I'm going to start doing that in maybe Florida, and I know I'm going to do one in California at the moment, just on how to survive and thrive from a dysfunctional relationship, and it'll deal with narcissism and codependency and everything that we seem to run into because we're broken, and we attract broken. So I've got those three things kind of on the stove.
That's awesome, man. How did you get there? Like, tell us how that happened. Like, somebody that's maybe somebody looks on social media or somebody that idolizes. I know we talk about Eric Thomas a lot, and these big names and big vocal people that are real operators, not just influencers. I don't do the influencer shit. I'm talking about people that are really have gotten 20 years under their belt, been doing it, so on and so forth. Somebody sees that online, like, man, I want to do that. That could be me, and they're in their, infancy stages or first phases of their business, or maybe they're a solopreneur or something like that. How did you get into stumble all that? Like, tell us about that journey.
I mean,
because you weren't doing that when we first met. Well, back up. You do got 5 books you written now? 4?
I've got, I think, 8 books.
8 fucking books. I got one back here.
I think it's 8.
That wasn't easy to get through. I just want you to know that wasn't an easy book to get through. That was a big one for me.
Sorry.
You gotta remember, like, I'm one of these people, like, the only person that can't. I mean, I'm not a very strong reader, but
I'm actually going to be working with somebody to put all those on audio opera kind of thing, kind of like the old talk radio where you have different voices.
Nice.
And I'm going to be one of the voices. But yeah, we're going to actually.
You should be the voice. You know what I mean? You've got like that Morgan Freeman voice where I could listen to you tell a story at nighttime and be like. So you got 8 books. We started hanging out, and you come into the gym, which, by the way, you look amazing. You know what I mean? You've been on a fitness journey for quite a while. I know if we looked at the last podcast we had you on, that Sir William looked like he ate this Sir William. You know what I mean? So kudos to you, my brother. You look.
And I'm just getting used to it too, because like the grandkids will say, "They're skinny grandpa," and I'm just like,
Who, me? Well, you've earned it. You bust your ass. You know, I've watched you. I love your journey. And most people should really be inspired by your journey. But when we first met, you know, I didn't know you were into the speaking and things like that. I know we got to, but just, you know, bridge the gap for some of our listeners to say, hey, this is what I did, and this is what opened up, and here we are now, and this is what I capitalized on.
Like I said in the beginning, I said it's the people that have been in my life that I've just followed the path. I mean, like, you got me into Apex, and then I started watching it and learning from those, you know, episodes. And then I started following Eric Thomas, and then I went into a Speaker 2.0 course to learn how to be a better public speaker. And so I've just been following the mentors and the people who have already designed programs.
So let me interrupt you there, because that's where I got to call you out on your shit. That's not what most people do. Most people, they'll have mentors, or they'll have signs, or people deliver something and ignore them. And that's a big meat and potatoes thing that you're talking about, where you take for granted, but you're an executor. When you are told something, and if you're a lot like me, if you tell me to do something and I respect you and I listen to you, and you tell me to do something, I'm not going to dismay what you just told me if I asked you how to get there, or if I asked you what worked, right? So talk more about that. You said you just follow what they had. When you heard, hey, try this out, what was your first action? Did you do your homework? Did you jump in off the parachute ensemble, or jump off the cliff with the parachute ensemble down? What did you do?
I always ask questions. I mean, like, I can't learn anything unless I ask questions.
100%.
And, you know, in my old age now, I've learned that I'm impulsive and I will jump every time.
Sure.
But I've learned that I have to have the right timing to make sure I can invest 100% and not blow out.
So when you say right timing, I'm going to push you a little bit today. You say right timing. Okay, that's what everybody says, and I know it's different for you. So if you could take, what does that look like for you when you say right timing? Do you map out a plan? Do you map out a strategy, or do you just wait for magically this right time?
No. I map it all out, because there's a cost benefit, you know, thing I got to do, you know, because I'm not independently wealthy and I can't just jump at everything. So I have to, like, okay, what do I got going on here, here, and here? Because I get offered opportunities all the time now, but I'm like, I can't do everything well if I'm trying to do everything.
Amen.
You know, so when I look at stuff, I was like, okay, do I have the time to do this 100%? That's really all I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to do it 100%. I don't want to half-ass anything, because I know where that's gotten me.
Sure.
You know, so that's what I'm doing. You know, when I'm looking at timing, do I have the time? If not now, when? It's not a matter of whether I'm going to do it or not. I'm going to do it. It's just a matter of timing. You know,
then you put that when, write that.
Oh, I write it down. I write it down.
Yeah, because that's so powerful. And so many people miss that point, and they, you know, listen, it's never the right time. It's never the right time to quit drugs or alcohol. It's never the right time to start a business. It's never the right time to start creating content. It's never the right time to.
But I think people are looking to be comfortable.
Of course.
There's never a comfortable moment to be successful.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But what I think I love about what you did, and I do it myself, is now you've put a timeline on yourself. So now you've say, hey, look, well, we're going to do this by July. Yeah. And, you know, here's the strategy that we're going to do up until there to make sure that we honor our commitment and get this to July. And then, like life, there's a chance that July comes around and you're not quite ready. And you're not in a place where you're not ready, that you didn't do the work, but you're not quite ready because something had gotten in the way, so we had to push it back another month. But I'm almost there. Well, you see what I'm saying?
So for me, if I'm not quite ready,
yeah,
I will modify so I can still start.
Ooh.
Because that's the day I said.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll modify. Even like let's say if something costed like, you know, $3,000 and I got 25.
Yeah.
I'll hustle. I'll negotiate. So, you know, what can I do for 25 until I get the other 5? You know, can I start here? Can I do, you know, do I need to wash your car? What do I need to do? And 9 times out of 10, because I'm eager and invested, they'll work with me.
The infamous, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Damn right.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think that's very powerful what you're saying. And you know, that's a lot of the reason why I wanted you on here, is because I wanted people to understand, like, you know, you're in counseling, you're in you know, treatment, and it's like people I don't think a lot of people think about that as the business they want to start. You know, a lot of people think about it as, you know, let me be an idiot, start a gym. Let me start into real estate. You know, let me go start on an online course or some sort of marketing agency, or let me be a photographer or videographer. And you know, it can be business that you get into.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have the mentality and the structure, and again, the plans, the mapping out, hey, this is, I need to do this before I do this before that.
Right.
Instead of just waiting for this magical sign from above to open up and say, oh, this is the time you're going to do something. No. I want to do something. I need to figure out how to do it. I need to figure out how to get out where I'm at, and I need to map it out and put a timeline, put my back against the wall.
And you're never going to be 100% ready.
Ever.
Never. So that's why you have to set the date.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to be 100% ready, but this is when we're going. This is the green light right here.
That's awesome, man. What are you most proud of about your journey, about yourself?
I mean, I was going to say, because I don't quit. Whether it's the weight loss, whether it's the business, the podcast or the motivational speaking, I think I'm most proud. When I'm in a field where the burnout level is just ridiculous, you know, they're dropping like flies. And I think the last place I was kind of doing an interview, they were kind of seeing who I was. And I told them, I said, well, the thing that makes me different is that I'm burnout proof. I'm stress resilient, you know, because of my program, because of working out, because of being around people like you who inspire me to keep working it and working it out. I've created a stress resilient lifestyle that just continues to level up.
That's
and
awesome,
I think
man.
that's what makes me most proud.
That's really awesome. What when you talk about burnout, right, and burnout proof, how do you combat that? Unlike what you've seen in people in your field, you know, what would you give some advice to a couple of people that are in a similar situation to combat that?
It's a combination of the mind, body, and spirit. And so what I tell a lot of people is I get up in the morning, I get up early, I get up probably 4 hours before I have to start work. So I can start listening to podcasts, getting my exercise in, getting my food together, you know, getting my prayers together so I can get my mind in the right frame to move forward. You know, a lot of people are working at the last minute and they're dealing with the leftovers of whatever they're working with, and it doesn't produce. You know, you end up in survivor mode instead of the mode that takes you to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, and so I do all that. I work out, I have a support network, I have mentors. I mean, and I'm utilizing every piece of that every week, every day.
That's awesome, man. That's you know, that's really powerful, you know, especially when you got people that probably on the edge right now of burnout.
Absolutely.
And they're right now ready to say, man, this ain't worth it.
With what's been going on with the pandemic, the economy, the politics, people have been riding thin ice emotionally and physically. And I see so many people struggling with burnout because they're running on fumes.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to a friend and, she was struggling with a massive headache. And I was like, have you even drank any water today? She's like, I forgot to drink water.
Easiest fix in the world.
Right. It's like, you ashy on the inside,
Listen,
girl.
if your breath smells like shit and you got a headache, you need more water.
Right, you need water. I was like, your body and your mind cannot flow if you've got nothing to flow with. I mean, like, we have to take care of this temple.
I've had to that point. I switched over supplements and vitamins. I'm big on vitamins. That's what I'm big on. And I started taking creatine. Creatine's got a lot of benefits in research that they're saying, and I take it every day. I take it one scoop in the morning as I go. But where I'm going is I take almost like 70 pills a day.
I'm right there with you.
You know, and none of it's prescribed. It's all stuff that like. For my health. And one of the things I do before I do anything, I am going to put a shameless plug here. We have the Momentous brand. Okay. Very good brand. I like it. We were dealing with, my wife and I were dealing with some vitamins from another company for like 8 years. It was good. I liked it. Sent you the wheel. But then I just felt like I was compounding vitamins. Somebody would tell me this is good. I'll take that. Then somebody tell me that was good. And I'll take that. And then just like it started being, and then so I started looking at it. What am I really taking? I started shopping around, and this was actually, we were looking at First Form, Andy Frisella's stuff, and Momentous, and Andrew Huberman actually backs Momentous. Okay. And I'll tell you one thing they did really good was they were selling the Tungat, they sell the Tungat Ali and the Rhodiola. Right?
I take that.
And no, excuse me, and then Fedosia.
Okay.
So like they say the Tungat Ali and the Vidoja should work together. Well, Vidoja's been a pretty big seller since actually Huberman or somebody else went on Rogan
Mm-hmm.
and was talking about it, right? Well, Momentous sent us an email and said we're discontinuing Vidoja because we don't see the science that backs the research. So we stand by our products.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not saying it does, we're not saying it doesn't. It just doesn't show us what we're
Right,
looking
right.
for. Stop selling it. So I thought that was pretty. That was a lot of integrity there because you're cutting off a lot of your money that you're making.
Right.
Anyway, to your point, one of my first things I do is I take my vitamins and I mix up my one. I do the AG1. Branden,
Yeah.
Branden gave me that, and I really like. He said, "Tastes like shit." I really like it. So the AG1 I take the little green stuff, and then I do a scoop of and they're just in 16-ounce water bottles, but I do a scoop of collagen, peptides, and then a scoop of the creatine, right? So before I do anything, that's the first thing I do. I drink a 16-ounce bottle of that with my vitamins, and I drink that other 16-ounce bottle. So I get 32 ounces right at the beginning of the day. Excuse me. And, hydration in the morning is great before you do any kind of eating. And then obviously I'll get something kind of compound because the secret to taking vitamins is the absorption.
Right.
So when you have the fats that it sticks to, like cheese or eggs, cashews or some sort of almonds, then did you get the absorption? So anyway, to that point that you were talking about, like there's so many little hacks that you can do to get your water, and then the benefits of you doing these things, you know what I mean, that you don't even like. Everybody thinks it's got to be 10 hours in the gym and all these big extra things for your health. Just little hacks where now I used to drink just 16 ounces of water in the morning. Now I'm getting 32 ounces of water right in the morning, right when I wake up, and knocking that out of my gallon that I drink every day. And starting my day with hydration, starting my day with a good meal, starting my day with something like that. So I think that's pretty remarkable. Is it all worth it, man?
Absolutely.
All the hours, all the time, all the stress, all the pain and things that you've gone through personally, like, is it worth it? You know life would be a lot easier if you work for somebody else.
I don't know about that. Especially in today's society, jobs the regular 9 to 5 is not as secure as it used to be.
I agree.
And the
It's
ability.
way easier. Way easier, man. Just punch a clock.
Well, but here's the deal. Like,
you catch my sarcasm.
I know, I hear you.
I
hear you. But some of us just aren't built. And I'm not throwing shade on people who work a 9 to 5.
Not at all. Not at all.
But if that's your jam, that's your jam. But there are those of us that want to continue to keep rising on our own, dime, on our own efforts, and not on the grace of somebody over top of us.
Yes,
I wanted it based on my own abilities and my own strengths or my weaknesses, so I can learn from them. So it's limitless for me.
Absolutely, I love that. Where do you go? What's the goal? What's the 5-year plan? Excuse me. What's the what's the mission?
I want to go nationwide, and then maybe eventually go across the water and do programs there. But I want to go nationwide with everything I'm talking about. The podcast, the relationship series, the school programs. I want to speak at schools, facilities, just really inspiring, motivating, and educating people on how to rise above. I think you say that. I think I got that from you.
No, that's Stuman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rise above Stuman. Yeah. That's incredible. What when do you see that happening?
It's happening now, man.
What's the timeline where you go across the pond? You hit nationwide.
Man, I would say, within the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable, man. I think that that mission is incredible. I think especially considering the humble beginnings and the starts and things like that.
We stay humble. We just grind.
Absolutely. What would you give our listeners who? This is going to be a 3-part question, right? What would you give our listeners who are struggling with addiction right now? Actually, we'll ask one question at a time. That way it'll be easier. Sorry.
Okay.
What would you say to our listeners that are struggling with addiction, whether it be substance abuse, sex, gambling, any kind of form of addiction, food? What would you say to their listeners in your shoes that maybe don't know if they want to go down that route. Maybe they do. Maybe they've had questions. What would be that? What would you tell them the first step would be able to make that they haven't already heard, in your opinion, or your strategy, I should say?
Well, usually when people come to me, they think they can't. And what I tell them is that, there are people every day across the world that have learned to live a new life, a better life, an exceptional life. And you're smarter than them.
I'm going to add to that because you just made a thought process come into my head. One of the things that when I quit partying as much as I did, I still like to go out and I still like to have a good time. You know what I mean? My addiction wasn't substance. My addiction was dealing in substance. You know what I mean? So we're talking about a whole nother world.
Right.
But I'm not. I do have addiction in my body, in my genes. I do have addictive personality. So
I think a lot of us do.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know that I got to put governors on some of the things I like to do, places I like to be, and stuff like that. And thank God again for that program way back when, because it put an educational factor in my mind as well, of understanding the psychological. Once the body becomes physically addicted, you're in a whole different rodeo now, Jack. Now you got a whole different fight.
The other thing is, it's not just physical; it's also emotional.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And that lasts longer than the physical. That's what's crazy.
Wow, I didn't think about that either. But the thought that came into my mind when you said that when I stopped drinking so much and partying so much, you know what I mean? Especially smoking weed. Smoking weed was a big one. I wasn't missing out on anything. No. I always thought that I was going to miss out. What am I going to talk to my friends? Who am I going to be around? What are we going to do? And what ended up happening it wasn't an issue. It wasn't a deal. Like, so many people are like, dude, you got to get away from those people. Say, you're a bitch for not, finishing drinking. Or most people don't do that. That's just a figment of your. Now, there are a couple of your cases, but that's one far and few beyond. The issue is in your mind. You think that you're missing out. You think that it's a lot like when you give yourself to Christ or any faith in that matter. You think that all of a sudden you're this, floating being amongst the crowd, and that now I cannot make any mistakes because I promised God. No, that's not how it works. Now you just have to work on being a Christian or work on being a man of faith or a woman of faith, because now you're practicing. It's just like going to the gym. You're not expected to be perfect, and you never will be, right? Same thing. You're not missing out. You're not missing out on what the life was. You're not missing out on. There will be other things that you'll find to do. There will be other happy places. You know what I mean?
It's funny because I love what I do, and really addicts are my favorite client, because sobriety is just the first key to being limitless. And getting them to understand the box that they've been living in. They think it's freedom, but really you're in a cage. And then I get the opportunity to show you what real freedom looks like, because now you can do anything.
Wow, that's incredible. So my next question is, what would be something you would say to a loved one who's trying to help their addict person? And I always think that we go about it the wrong way.
Absolutely.
Trying to help them.
Actually, one of my books is for, I didn't bring that one with me, but
what's it called?
The Desert of Addictions too. It's the Family Prevention Guide. I think that's what it's called. It's on my website. But I wrote it for the well-intentioned family members or loved ones who are trying to help the person, and one of the things, and I remember I had to tell a mother this. I said, look, this is the deal. You cannot lose yourself trying to save someone. You're like a lifeguard. And if you're not strong enough to actually pull them out of the water, you need to go get help, because, when I was working with her, I was like, you're the commercial for sobriety and you're stressed out, losing your mind, losing hair. And your kid is looking at you like, well, I want to be like you. I said, you're not going on vacations. You're not living. You're not, laughing anymore. You gotta take care of you too.
Wow, that's incredible. I never thought about that, and that's money right there. And the last part, right? Because we're running out of time, and this flew by, man. I always enjoy our time together because we never have enough. The last one, what would you say to somebody who's gotten sober and they just hit that first step? What would you say? Hey, this is going to be your next step. Look, I've already gotten the program. I've gotten, a year clean. I'm feeling good. I'm changing my habits. I'm not nowhere near, where I want to be, but I'm on that path. I've gotten out because that first year is probably like more like a blur and kind of like you're just shaking this shit off. What would you say to that person? What do you think they should be looking for?
Go back and get your dreams that you lost.
That one gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. I mean, because, like I said, the first key to being limitless is sobriety.
Yes, sir.
The second key is go back and get your dreams because they're still there.
I ain't got nothing to say on that one. Sir William, where can we find you? Tell our listeners where we can find you, how we can get in touch with you, how we can buy the books, how can we call, how can we send you a dick pic? DM, you know what I mean?
No dick pics, please. You can find me at my website, which is www.willwith1l.singleton.com. You can find all my books. You can book me for speaking engagements, coaching, anything. I'm right there. I have 2 other websites coming out. One for my core counseling strategies, business, and another for my podcast. And Katarina Martin, I won't forget her, from Golden Shores Communications, is my branding agent, and she is phenomenal.
Awesome.
And she's doing all this for me. So you can find me there.
Katarina, what a great name.
Yeah, she's real cool.
That's awesome. Dude, like I said, man, and I can't pour out enough love and admiration, appreciation for you. The world needs to hear more of you. You're a blessing to this world, just like I said to you. God walks through us and talks to us in many ways, and he speaks to you every day. And you're the reason why families, 20 years, man, Jesus, families are grateful and thankful that their loved one is alive and they're the loved one. You are the reason. Yes, they do the work, but they needed somebody to open that door. And I hope our listeners got so much from this, because I know I did. You dropped gems on me, but I just love you, man.
Yeah, man.
And even more so, I'm fucking just so proud to know you and proud of you, because
Thanks,
and just because, man, I know, I know the journey and I know the struggles, and I know it.
But I got to give a shout out to my people, my clients, because I know I'm an important piece, but the courage it takes to come into my office, it's what inspires me, because that's not no joke.
No, it didn't.
Yeah. To come talk to some strange man about your weakest areas, your most shameful times, and work it. Yeah.
Once you open that Pandora's box of yourself, it's very hard.
Yeah, they're my heroes.
It's awesome, man. Even in a compliment, he had to pass the buck, and I appreciate that. That's what makes you, brother. Thank you. Well, guys, that's another episode of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. I hope you guys have gotten so much value out of this, because I know I did. Please share this episode if you know someone can use it. We take addiction very serious here, and we want to make sure that they're getting value and getting some sort of rhyme or reason, or just a golden nugget that can help impact that. And again, if you've gotten value from the show, please, again, like, subscribe, a testimony. Tell us what you think. Tell us how much it means to you that we do what we do. We're so grateful for every single person. Listen, every single subscriber, every single like, every single comment. I'm super grateful. I can't believe you even follow my stuff. So thank you so much. And on to the next one. What are you doing today to become a champion?
That's right.